From Lockstep Technology Group, I am Ali Adib, and this is a closed beta project, the show where we talk to IT, cybersecurity experts, pioneers, and influencers about how we can live and grow in digital age. So let's go around the room and introduce yourselves. I know we go with Chris because, alphabetical.
Cool. I'm Chris Muse, work for Lockstep Technology Group. I'm a system engineer in our NOC, and my main focus right now is configuring and maintaining our monitoring technologies.
All right, for people who don't know, what is a NOC?
A NOC is a network operations center. We monitor for any thing that may happen inside a client's environment. Say a switch dies, a firewall goes down, anything needs to be updated on the network, a config change, they come to us, they will open a ticket and we'll get in there and help them out. So basically you augment their IT staff in a nutshell. Right, we help support and elevate our client's IT department.
Awesome. How about you, Kalin? What is it that you do here?
I also work for Lockstep. I'm a systems engineer. Primarily, I do a lot of Splunk and related activities, so tying in syslogging, various different types of logs, using Splunk forwarders, using Uber Agent to feed in a lot of Windows-specific event log data, custom output from scripts. Everything we feed into Splunk for any kind of analytics is basically kind of my primary focus right now.
Awesome. So the main reason I asked you guys to join me, one, you guys volunteered. Two, and two is we've been at remote workforce. We've been working from home for quite some time, and you guys, better than I am, an expert at working from home. So I want to kind of pick your brain and have you share any insights or tips you may have in regards to working from home to stay productive and produce the same quality of work that you would typically anyone would do. But for those that haven't have experience working from home or this is new to them, what tips and tricks do you guys have?
My biggest thing, first, Kalin and I have known each other for years, and we've actually worked at previous places where they've had ROW, which is a results-only work environment. That means that a company base their evaluation on their employees more on the outcome of their projects or their work instead of just clocking 40 hours. Mm-hmm. Now, that may be different in certain departments of different IT companies where you have billable and whatnot, but for the most part, you're putting a lot of trust into the people that you hire for what they're putting out with their work. So with that being said, Kalin and I have kind of maneuvered these waters of working from home over the last 5 years. My biggest number one thing, if possible, is setting up an area in your house that for your mindset, it's almost like the art of war. You have different bedroom or different rooms in your house where you have different personalities. Mm-hmm. I walk into my office, my studio, and I know it's time to work. I've set up a routine in the morning where I get up, I make the same coffee, I kind of make the same breakfast. And it's almost like when you take your supplements before you go to the gym or something and your body is like, oh, I remember this. And it's go time, right? Mm-hmm. So your mind, you mentally trick yourself into wanting to work. And if you don't have that area or a whole separate room, maybe just having a corner or a section in your house where when you get near it, the certain smells, if you open a window or just the idea, the sun rising in the morning, it just triggers that mindset of it's time to get stuff done. It's time to work. Mm-hmm. My biggest tip would be just to have a designated area in your house where you can go to start the day and then try to leave to end the day. So you're, going home from work, that commute back home, you can try to separate the mind from, because right now you just kind of go to work and then you're in the same house. There's no going home. So if you can kind of trick yourself, it's a stress reliever.
Yeah, I mean, like Chris said, this isn't super new to us. I think the big thing for us right now is, we have pets, but we don't have kids. So there's definitely some considerable challenges that come in there. My apartment's not quite so big, and I've got too much stuff. So even if you can't find your own little corner, even if you can do something easy, even if it's in your room, like I'm doing right now, and just having the door closed and just as long as you can kind of keep it quiet and as similar as you can to what you normally do. I will say that working from home, it does kind of change your mindset a little bit. Like Chris was saying, instead of you having to go to an office and you're like, okay, I'm at the office, it's time for me to work. I know my routine. I'm going to go to lunch, come back, work, and go home. It is a little bit harder to kind of do that disconnect because you're like, well, I'm already at home. So if somebody calls me or sends me an email or something like that, just because you're at home, you still need to kind of work around your normal hours. You still kind of have to set that cutoff. Otherwise, it kind of becomes like your home life and your work life really kind of merge into one, and you don't want that. And that would be my biggest piece of advice.
Next question I have is like, what are the pain points you guys see or hear when you're talking to clients in regards to working from home? You mentioned, and they're more relaxed, but do they share any pain points with you guys?
Right now, it's for me on my end, because we're in the knock, it seems to always come back to bandwidth utilization. People got to go in the office and work, so they got to use their employer's network, which is usually beefed up a lot more than what you have at home. I know Kalin and I have a pretty good environment because we're used to working from home, but right now trying to learn the terminology and as someone who's non-technical and saying, oh, I think, my computer's slow, when in reality, they've got a 25 meg down or something. So being able to leverage an MSP or your IT department to find out where that pain point's at. And then really the trick is finding a stack that you can actually use or recommend to each client or each employee, saying, what's your ISP in your area? We recommend this as a minimum speed. What modem do you have? What router do you have? It's almost like if you could just have, a bronze, silver, gold stack, you could say, we'll use this, this, and this. And I know at Lockstep, we're helping a lot of our clients right now work remote. And we have in professional services where Kalin works, has been busy around the clock, making sure that they can scale up quick enough to be able to handle the need.
Awesome. How about you, Kalin?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same pain points. It's, there are companies that were already kind of set up for this kind of work. Whether it was for a disaster recovery type scenario, the office is on fire, whether it was, whether they had a formal work from home policy. And for them, this isn't too big of a transition because the policies are already in place. Their documentation's already written for, here's how you connect to a VPN. Here's how you connect to the server and do your work, things like that. But for some clients that don't already have that in place, it has been a little bit of kind of a catch-up game, kind of how do we get these things in place? How do we do it reliably and quickly? And then, how do we convey to our users that this is, going to be a thing going forward? I mean, we're, like Chris said, we're all in this together. There's really no way of knowing how long this is going to last, but this is likely going to have lasting implications for work from home for a while.
Right. Yeah. A lot. I mean, my fiance's company is talking about, when the pandemic comes to an end, their employer may just continue working from home. I mean, they don't have to pay rent, or they may just rent a space once a month for a big company meeting. Just to save the money, especially if, this last 6 months or year, a lot of these companies are going to leverage their IT department or their MSPs and going to build out this whole system and solution from working from home. I mean, they're not going to want to just collapse that and end it. They've already got the entire infrastructure in place, right? So why not just use it?
Mm-hmm. Now you mentioned working with MSPs and IT departments. What tips do you have or suggestions do you have to better communicate with the IT department, especially nowadays?
You mean internally with each other?
Internally with each other and externally, people working remotely, their computer is slow, quote unquote. Should they be more patient? Obviously, yes. But what else should they take into account when they're communicating those problems to IT department to better help
I would
serve
say,
them?
honestly, the biggest thing right now, and I think Kalin can elaborate on this and talk about it too, every company, if they're not using Mattermost, Slack, Microsoft Teams to communicate in these times, they need to catch up, because I know you can you can make a ticket, open an email, and someone may get back to you. It goes into a black hole sometimes, or it gets answered quickly. But there's a real there's like some magic to having Slack or Mattermost or Teams where you can just, you don't have to give away your personal phone number, but you can have the app on your phone and you can get an instant response, or at least you can say, I'm having an issue. Which direction should I go? Is it something that's worth opening a ticket? Just finding out what the first step is. Using collaborative tools to communicate the issue and finding the solution would be my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, 100%. The main reason that matters so much is because when we're all in an office together, we can walk upstairs or walk next door to somebody else's office and say, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? So inter-team communication, things that you can normally just walk over and ask people really quickly. None of these platforms that Chris mentioned are particularly new, but some people just aren't used to them. And it's kind of, you need to have that rapid level of collaboration that you would normally have in the office that through email is just, incredibly difficult or almost impossible.
Yeah.
So you really need to maintain that collaboration, not only in your team, but I would say from a IT team, MSP perspective, it's a little bit different with MSPs, but I'll say from more like an IT department perspective, when you have users working from home, it's definitely do your documentation. Really is the biggest thing. Do your documentation. Do it in there's platforms like ITG. I really like ITG. There's you can even do Word docs. A lot of people do Word docs.
OneNote.
I've done Word
even
docs.
if you've got a OneNote,
anything. I would say make it printable though. Make it printable so they have a physical copy of it, so they don't have to try to get on the computer to find the information. Give them a physical copy. Yeah.
You mean like printing out like steps on like how to download your VPN like software and like what the
exactly. Here's how you download it. Here's how you connect to it. Here's what you connect to do your work. Include screenshots.
You're assuming people have printers.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm saying, maybe print this at the office and give it to them. But, some way, or maybe an easy to use documentation site, something like that, just some way so they have a clear visual understanding of, okay, here's how I have to do work now.
I was going to say from Kalin and I being in the MSP world for quite a few years, documentation is always an interesting to talk about when it comes to IT because everyone knows to do it and people don't. But it's called siloed data, right? Everyone has this tribal knowledge they run around with and they just get so busy they forget to share with others. But if they could just have a decompressed day or just a documentation day, even if it's for 30 minutes to dump something and put it in a shareable collaborative area, both for internal IT and for your end users or your clients, it's actually going to save you a lot of time on the back end because they're not going to have to open a new ticket for an issue that 30 people have experienced over the last 6 months. You could just send, and IT Glue actually has it where you can make a public facing page. Like you could just type it up, make it public facing. It doesn't give away any private information and they could just say, bookmark that link.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I have one more question for you guys, and I know this is not on the topics that we pre-discussed to talk about today.
Live.
Question I have is, like you mentioned, a lot of companies are actually thinking about continuing remote workforce, given the fact how much money will save it. They already have a structure built into it. What else do you foresee changing in near and long term? Like, does email become less used because we have tools like Slack and the conversational style?
It's interesting you said the word change. I don't think it's so much that things are going to change as they are going to leap and accelerate into the future. We're not so much, and this is my personal opinion. I don't think we're changing. I think we're in fast forward. I think we're just forcing stuff forward a lot quicker than it was planned. You see like Zoom and different companies that are just having over a 500% increase daily of users. I think at the end of this, the silver lining is going to be that the stuff that was in the pipeline as far as technology is concerned and collaborative tools and us working from home is going to happen, within months. It's already happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and what's going to be interesting are when you have these IT people that are already working remote and they're used to doing it, you have these brilliant minds coming together now for stuff. What is the new technology that's going to come out of this? Because our society is changing rapidly. So what tools are going to come out of this in 3 months, 6 months that were born because of this pandemic, technology speaking?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's awesome.
I'll put a little bit of a spin on it. I think I do like the technical perspective. I do believe that there's going to be new products. Zoom has been being used, obviously, like Chris was saying, a 500% increase. Watching the news, everybody's using WebEx. WebEx had some ridiculous percentage of increase across all their networks as well. Really, any video conferencing platform right now, I'm sure even Skype is. Or not Skype anymore. Sorry, Teams.
Come on now, MS Teams.
MS Teams.
Rest in peace, Skype.
But even besides the innovations there, if you're talking about people are saving gas now. You even tie in factors that most people don't think about. Obviously, we're all in quarantine, but also with us all being inside. In the long term, even when this is over, if people do continue to work from home like this, I think there's going to be new technology in place or evolved technology in place that's
delivery
support
services.
Yeah, that's going to support this better. But you got people spending less on gas. You've got less pollution. The likelihood that you're going to get sick is decreased. You're not driving every morning to work. Just even if you're looking at raw percentages, the likelihood of even something like you get in a car accident drops to basically nothing. You're not driving to work. You're not driving back from work. You're not stuck in the commute. So it does.
And your Apple Watch will be able to tell you all of that data.
Yes.
Look how many trees grew today on your Apple Watch because you didn't go outside.
So there's a lot of factors that really are coming into play because of this. It's dramatic. Even I know it was on the news. I think it was earlier this week or last week. They were discussing overhead thermal shots of China. It looks dramatically different. It looks like a completely different nation now in these overhead thermals because people are not driving. People are outside. There's dramatically less pollution. I do agree with Chris. I think it's something of almost like a fast forward. These are things that aren't particularly new. They're things that most people in tech and IT have been doing for quite some time, but it's never really kind of made its way throughout, some major companies. It's never really kind of expanded into other departments, or if it was, maybe like a fraction of what it is compared to a tech department. So
I was gonna.
Yeah.
While I'm thinking of it, I know it's on our list, but there is one thing I'd like to say to if you guys don't mind, any of the technical people who are listening. This is just coming from me. I have been reaching out. So I used to be a cop in the Marine Corps. I'm really big in my community and I volunteer in the area that I live in. So I've reached out to a lot of the business owners that are in my area about helping assist them, just free pro bono, because I'm at home too stuck. So on the weekends, I need some side hustle projects or just something to do, right? So I've reached out to them about assisting them with takeout. There's a wine shop down the road that I love. And the owner called me 3 days ago and said, okay, we're getting bombarded. People are calling us, texting us, emailing us. We don't have a solution right now to, show our inventory and then reserve an item for that person to come get it picked up. So if you're if you work in the technology field and you have the means and the time right now, because we're all stuck at home, try to find local businesses that are struggling and see if you can assist them in some way. Right now, I'm taking their Squarespace site, using an extension for reserving tables and renaming the tables to a 4-pack of wine, right? And the idea is you say at 6:30, I have this table, but it's actually a pack of wine, and they just come out and they can pay for it wirelessly or text and pay. Just help others with this knowledge that we've all as IT people have gained over the years, help these non-technical people survive right now because they don't have the money or the means to go. Or even one of your questions were, if you have issues, who do you reach out to for IT help? Honestly, Lockstep. But your second option is go find your local community. Find people in your community and reach out to them because they're going to want to help you just as much as you need that help.
Well said.
I would actually, I'd add something onto that too. In terms of helping people, even what Chris is saying is great, not only using the technical skills, but, if you do want to go out, right now and help out with those things. Obviously, it's not the best idea to be outside, but if you don't have a choice anyways, I would say the people over at Folding at Home, great program. They have an application that installs on just about anything, and they have a OVA.
Can you explain what it is?
I'll get to it. Basically, Folding at Home is, if you think of it, it's a distributed supercomputer. So basically how it works is anybody who installs the application or deploys the virtual machine that they've got created, it's not an official VMware virtual machine. It's on kind of one of their, I forget exactly what they call it, but it's kind of one of their like subsites. Once you install it, it essentially hooks into their network and it uses up free resources on whatever machine you put it on and combines those resources with everybody else that has it installed. And then it gets used for things like cancer research. Right now, it's being used for COVID-19 research in addition to several other things. And what researchers do is they feed it these simulations for all sorts of crazy different proteins and things that I will never hope to understand. But it is really cool, and it does significantly help the medical and scientific community to have this astronomical amount of resources that people aren't using anyways, basically. So if
you got a spare computer. Yeah, if you got a spare computer or a
exactly.
server, you got a 610 sitting down there, fire it up, pay a little bit extra in electricity, and just use the appliance that VMware has, and you can just spin it up in OVA, right? And then just kick it off.
Or old gaming desktop, you got Windows on it, go ahead and install it. It'll use your GPU capacity, it'll use your RAM, CPU, really everything. And it's actually great. I've seen the outpouring from the tech community since COVID-19 really became a thing has been so incredible with their site. In fact, the last time I was on there the other week, they actually had a notification up saying that the reason some people's machines were sitting idle is because they have so many resources that they literally do not have enough simulations of COVID-19 running right now to utilize all the capacity that they've been giving, which is, of course, they said this is a great problem to have, and it really is. So as they spin up more and more of these simulations, it's just going to use more and more of that compute
subreddit on it too. Yeah, if you need more information, how to set it up, there's
I
a
don't want to get too into it,
it,
but I did want to toss that out there because it is a really great tool that's helping a lot of people right now.
And you can do it from home. You don't got to leave. So
yeah.
I like that. Awesome. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about we didn't cover today?
I would say, we've already gone over it and everyone already knows it, but we're all in this together. So again, if you have some knowledge that can assist family, friends, or community, do it. Do it now, because some people are afraid to ask for help. So even if you have to offer it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time. I give some time back to your day, your busy schedule.
Finally got in here. We got to do this.
I'm excited.
Couple reschedules. We got it though.
I'll take it. I appreciate it, you guys. You guys stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys later.